remember one of the first videos that Mike ever did was on, that we saw of his, was Illusionary Truth. You're right, babe. Where you tell someone something enough times that they start to believe it. Don't feel bad about it. You people that subscribes to his channel or follows him or believes in him, don't feel bad. He convinced the TBI director, or the director of the TBI, and Mr. Mark
Davison.
He convinced them of this, or at least halfway. Now, they wanted to believe it because they also wanted that popularity. They wanted that 15 minutes of fame that went along with it. They were listening to his nonsense instead of out looking for Summer, Wells, and Sebastian Rogers. They were listening to his nonsense instead of out here getting an indictment on some of these so-called custodians, or whatever you want to call them. These people's in charge of these children. That's my opinion, guys. Now listen again. Mike says Officer Killingsworth was there and witnessed Dr. Pillar drawing blood, and the results were 0.18. This was 1974, guys. Even today, it can take days, even weeks, sometimes months, to get the lab reports back for blood alcohol content. See, there's no reason to rush. There's no reason to rush. If they've got a blood test, the blood's there. It's in a vial. It's there.
Yeah.
It's all you needed was the blood. He's dead. It's not like he's laying in an emergency room. You want to know if he's overdosed on something or he's done this or that, or this man's dead. I told you it's 2025 and just saw on TV where it took them 7 months. In the county I last worked in, it was an average of 6 months to a year. When you got a DUI, you didn't have to worry about going back to court on that DUI for at least 6 months. It was going to be 6 months to a year before that blood alcohol was back. In fact, usually by the time the blood alcohol came back, we'd already have the case played out and over with. The blood results come back. Mike wants you to believe that Dr. Pillar took the blood. Next thing you know, there's an 18 result. He's dead. There's no rush for a BAC. You can tell Mike's got no law enforcement experience, guys, or he would know. This is basic breathalyzer and blood alcohol, urine test for blood, for alcohol and drugs. Basic knowledge. Mike acts like it was 1974, and you just pull the blood and a genie pops out and magically appears and gives you the BA results. That's not the way it works. Sheila found this on the internet. She's done read that to you about Killingsworth.
Yep. He used to be a deputy.
Used to be a deputy for Buford Pusser.
Yep.
Used to be a deputy for Buford Pusser. And he was on that page. She just Googled his name and he come up, and she's going to try to contact him.
I sure am.
And hopefully he'll talk to us.
Yeah.
Because he was on Mike's page arguing with Mike or somebody about how you can defame somebody.
Yep.
So
Write things into history.
Yeah.
He said it was so easy for people to rewrite history when Buford and his deputies, friends, and families not here to defend him.
Yeah.
So
if she does, we'll do a video if he'll allow it, and especially Mr. Ervin. Mike says Dewana was the first one to get there, but Miss Durbin, who was right behind her, said Buford was dead, which leads us to wonder. Mike says, you're going to hear him, which leads us to wonder, did Dewana get there soon enough for Buford to try to say her name, or was that just Dewana's imagination? Let them hear it.
Dewana Pusser was also at the fair that night, and when it came time to leave, she wanted to ride home with her friend Tina. So with Buford's permission, Miss Durbin drove Dewana home that night. As they were going toward Adamsville, a car passed Miss Durbin at
I want to explain something to you guys. Elam will post this where you can read it also.
Mm-hmm.
Supposedly, just like Buford Pusser's, supposedly, this is the statement that Miss
Durbin.
Durbin gave Trooper Ervin or the other, his partner. Supposedly. Look at the bottom there. Do you see Miss Durbin's signature where they typed the statement up and they took it back to her and she read it? She said, yeah, this is my words. This is what I said. Yeah, this is it. Do you see anything? See how important things are
Mm.
50 years later, 60 years later, 100 years later, when somebody says, oh, he said this or she said that? How do we know? How do we know that that's what Miss Durbin said? There's nothing there derogatory toward Buford other than they said that she said, I hope he don't get killed driving like that. Makes sense. That's a comment somebody would probably make. But do we know she made that comment? Because her signature's not on there. The date she signed it. Maybe even a witness would have been nice to have. None of these statements that you're going to see, other than Paul Ervin's, has a signature. So when you're reading stuff like this, guys, keep in mind, you could be reading somebody like Mike Elam's imagination. We don't know Paul Ervin from nobody. We know that it's been said that Paul Ervin didn't and Buford Pusser didn't get along.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't get along, is Mr. Ervin going to do anything at all in favoritism of Buford? Is he going to do anything against them? We don't know. But we know we got statements here and they're not signed. We go ahead. I won't beat the dead horse.
high rate of speed. And Dewana said, there's Daddy. And Mr. Urban said, I hope he doesn't get killed before he gets home. Well, a little bit later, they topped a hill. They could see something up in front of them. When they got there, they realized it was Buford's car. They got out. Dewana was the first one to get there, but Miss Durbin was right behind. When Shirley Durbin reached down, put her hands on his chest, checked for a pulse, heartbeat, found nothing. She said that Dewana was running out in the street everywhere.
Wow.
So, that does lead us to wonder, did Dewana get there soon enough for Buford to try and say her name? Or was that Dewana's imagination that she believes so much that it eventually became part of the myth and the legend?
Stop it.
Why tear it down? Why?
Another myth busted, Mike. Way to go. Was it a myth? Or did she hear her dad try to say her name? Or did she see her dad take his last breath? Is that really justice for Pauline? Is that really justice for her mother to destroy her little girl's memory of her dying father? What kind of satisfaction? How can a man be so morbid and so cruel that this gives him satisfaction? Now, guys, this come out also when Dewana was alive.
Mm-hmm.
This not just because the video's just been made a while back. This story's been going on for years and years.
Sad.
Does Mike have to assault or try to take away everything and every memory that Dewana had of her mother and father? Has anyone ever seen someone die? A gurgle, a sigh, a last exhale, a last breath, and they're gone? It was her memory.
Yeah.
It's what she had of her dad. Insert Dewana here.
So held on to his neck, turned him over, held it, and was saying, Daddy, Daddy, Daddy. And he muttered a little bit, and what I want to think was Dewana. I hope.
And you'll see Dewana again. Dewana says, I'd like to think.
Mm-hmm.
Dewana once upon a time said, my dad tried to say my name. I think he was trying to say my name. And then he stopped breathing in that instant. How long does it take for a person to die? Could he have been trying to, wouldn't we rather think? Again, I've always said I'd rather let a guilty person go is ever arrest an innocent person and charge them with a crime, and they'll be innocent. If we have an equal playing field here and we got good and bad, do we always have to go and look for the bad? Why can't we go look for the good and say, oh, that's sweet. I'll bet he tried to say your name. If that gives somebody some comfort, why wouldn't we? Why would we want to say, no, he wasn't trying to say your name. I think he was already dead when you got up there. What? Even trying to say her name. Do we steal that from her? Now you'll hear the video if you haven't already. She says, I'd like to think that he was trying to say my name. She tries to correct it. I'd like to think.
Yeah.
Over a little publicity, he did this to a woman's memory of her last moments with her father.
Sad.
Who does this? We wonder if she did de-life herself. We wonder why, and we wonder how much of a bearing this man had on it. If she did do that, some people says other things. And it's funny that after she's deceased, it really did pick up. The graves dug up, the stories pick up, the content. If DeWanda did in fact de-life herself, the daughter should sue Mike just for cyberbullying. But Sheila and I, like a lot of Adamsville residents, think there may be more to DeWanda's death than what we know about. We wonder, I'm not going to say what I got wrote down there, but we wonder if everybody's accounted for. If everybody that had an interest that may have wanted DeWanda gone so they could go on and do other things, did the police ever contact them and say, where was you on this date at this time where was you? Do you have an alibi? Not alleging anything. I'm just saying that if I was the officer that investigated DeWanda's death, I would certainly want to confirm some people's alibis for that time and day. I really would. Mike says DeWanda believed it so much that it became part of the myth and the legend. Maybe it really happened. Like it's not bad enough Mike insulted DeWanda's mother and father. Now he's insulting her. And she's deceased. He insults her as well.
Wow.
True or not, did it really hurt anyone if this orphan was allowed to have her memories without someone clouding them up with doubt? Did it really hurt? Let's say she didn't drag her dad out from the fire. She didn't pick her dad up and carry him. She didn't help drag him. She didn't. When she got there, Buford was already dead and cold and rigor mortis had set in. But in her mind, she thought he tried to say her name. Would that really have hurt to have let her have thought that, had that memory?
Yeah, I agree. Sad.
Was this fellow so evil? I don't know. I'm telling you, I believe that someday, the Bible says we reap what we sow.
Oh, snap.
Some of these people that's made these allegations, it's not allegations. They said that he done it. They've said he's done it. He's guilty. Mike said Buford had been to the county fair that evening. Some who encountered him, guys, there's going to be 2 videos if you ain't noticed yet. We've done cut it off in an hour by now, probably. Some who encountered him there thought he'd been drinking. Mike says that some of the people that encountered Buford at the fair thought he had been drinking. Okay, let's see who it was as we go along. Mike says others said something was wrong with him. Let's play it.
Now, as we know, Buford had been at the county fair himself earlier that evening. Some who encountered him there thought that he had been drinking. Others say that they didn't detect anything, while others said that, well, something was definitely wrong with him. Of those that said that they didn't notice anything peculiar about Buford, the first was Benny Gaines, who owned Coleman's Barbecue in Selmer. Gaines would say that Buford came in early that evening,
Stop it.
ordered 2 large.
Sheila put that up there big where you can read it.
Mm-hmm.
Got 2 large barbecue sandwiches and a water. Come back and got a fish sandwich and a water.
Mm-hmm.
2 waters. Now this guy checked Buford out. He took his order, got his food for him, gave his food to him, took his money, gave his change, all the time confronting him and talking to him. Says he didn't smell nothing, didn't see nothing wrong with Buford. Buford was fine, nothing wrong with him. You'll notice that statement's not signed, but supposedly that's his statement or what he said. Go ahead.
Barbecue sandwiches and a large glass of water.
Okay.
He said he returned a few minutes later and ordered a fish sandwich and another large glass of water.
So
Gaines said he didn't detect any smell of alcohol around Buford. Another person who suggested that Buford seemed perfectly normal that night was a friend of his, Don Maxedon.
Stop it. I don't have that in front of me, and I can't see it from where I'm sitting at. But either this one or the next one, you will see. Maxedon, it may say he's a friend. One of these guys, Mike says a friend of his. He says that a couple of times. But if you'll look, it doesn't say nowhere in there they were friends. Mike wants you to think anybody that says anything good about Buford was a friend of his. And very well could have been. He's a politician. He's a sheriff. Probably good to everybody. Wanting that vote. Wanting that friend. He just didn't like illegals. But read this statement good. One of these statements, Mike says he was a friend of his, but after you read the statement, you're not going to find that nowhere in there where it says that he was a friend of Buford Pusser's. I think one of them it does, but the other one it doesn't. Go ahead.
Wow. Well, in his facial expressions.
That's what made me I think, but
Maxedon would tell troopers during an interview that he was with Buford that night for a little while. He went to the parking lot, and Buford was having some sandwiches from Coleman's Barbecue. He said he sat there and spoke with Buford for about 20 minutes or so. He said then Buford left, spinning his tires, driving like Buford normally would. He said about 60 seconds later that the Durbin vehicle left the parking lot and was also headed for Adamsville.
How they know?
Maxedon suggested that he didn't smell any alcohol on Buford or see any effects of it about his person. Others, however, remember that night very differently, such as
guys, go ahead, let it play.
Denny Howell, a well-known citizen of McNairy County. He was attending the fair with his niece when they encountered Buford. Howell remembers Buford stuttering more than usual and thought that Buford was having problems of some kind. As Pusser walked away, Howell's niece looked at Denny and said that she thought that she smelled alcohol on his breath and said that he was drinking something out of a Coleman cup.
Water.
Guys, I've held this page over here for a minute, and I've missed Maxedon's, and I've got some notes down through here, and I want to cover. But if you would, make sure, and Sheila will put it back up here in large letters so you can read this statement. And when you read this statement, look and see exactly what he just now said. But I'm going to go over that. You know, he says here in a minute, the next one that comes up, I believe it is, he said that this guy says that Buford didn't act the same. He wasn't friendly. He wasn't act like something was wrong with him. And have you ever just seen somebody that was annoying to you, that you just didn't like to talk to, that you knew was two-faced? Me, there's nothing worse to get around me than somebody that I know is a two-faced person. I'm not interested. It's like somebody saying, debate Mike. I don't want to debate Mike. I don't want to talk to Mike. I don't want to conversate. That's why I blocked him. So I don't even want to. That's what you do. Why argue or why get your blood pressure up when you don't have to? But could this other person come up to Buford and Buford was just annoyed by him and his personality or attitude or background or morals? Maybe Buford just didn't want to talk to him. That's one of the reports he reads here in a minute. Maybe Buford was ignoring the person. He just doesn't, it doesn't make him impaired or drunk. As Mike implies, he just don't want to conversate with this guy. But so far, no smell of alcohol. Now, taking his order I'm catching up. They took his order, gave him his change, no smell of alcohol. Guys, alcohol has no odor. It's the alcoholic beverage. It's the beverage part that you put in alcohol that puts the aroma off. And a lot of times people, Buford was perfectly normal, said Don Maxidon. I'll go back to his statement. A friend of Buford's, where's it say in the report? That was Maxidon. So when you read that report again there in a minute, Mike says Don Maxidon was a friend of Buford's. Don't say nowhere in that report. The trooper didn't put nowhere in that report. This was a friend of Buford's. I imagine everybody in that county, as long as they wasn't a lawbreaker, was probably a friend. He's a politician. And you all may think that's minor. That's minor. Throw a word in here. This was a friend of Buford's. Throw a word in there. Blood alcohol was 18. When you do that a little here and a little there and a little, finally you got a completely false story.
Changed outcome.
This man watched Buford eat his 2 sandwiches and talked to him for about 20 minutes out in the parking lot. Didn't notice anything wrong with Buford. Not a thing wrong. Read report. Mike says Buford was driving like Buford normally would. See? Now, if Mike would have said here, Buford took off out of that parking lot like a bat out of a bad place. Well, that may be alcohol. He may have something. He may be impaired. But Mike says that's the way Buford drove. He drove like that, wide open all the time. Well, then you can't say his driving was the cause of his accident or the cause of his the people to think that, or for Mike to think that he's impaired. Because that would be a sign of impairment. Guys, he's pulling out of a gravel parking lot there at the county fair. You can pull out of the gravel parking lot in a Volkswagen and get a wheel. Anybody knows that. You can get in gravel and get a wheel on a bicycle. Stand up on that pedal and jerk down. You'll get a wheel on your bicycle. Imagine a high-performance Corvette, high-performance car, and just giving it some gas to get pulled out. He could have done it on purpose. I'm not covering for Buford. We're interested in 1967 murder case. That don't make him kill his wife because he likes to spin the tires. I've been known to spin the tire a little bit here and there, especially as a kid. Had my keys to my car taken so many times from my dad that he's in a high-performance car. Why does everything that Buford or Pauline or Dewana or Helen or anybody do in that Pusser family have to be a conspiracy? Why does it have to be something bad? Why does he hate these people so much?
I don't know. That's a good question.
Now, here's where we stopped it at, and I want you to hear something, maybe even play back just a hair. Denny Howell, not you, I'm talking them. Denny Howell was attending the fair with his niece. Mike says that Howell said Buford was stuttering more than usual. We never knew that Buford stuttered.
Nope.
We never knew that. Maybe Sheila can ask this deputy that he worked for.
I will.
Maybe you guys will know. Maybe Tina at the museum, if you're ever down there, ask Tina if Buford ever stuttered. Ask Cora at Kokomo's. Be sure, guys, if you go to Adamsville, do not leave Adamsville without stopping by Kokomo's Diner.
Yep.
50's Diner. and talk to Cora. Cora used to be Buford Pusser's secretary.
Yep.
If you want to check on Buford or got some questions, there's you an eyewitness. There's
She can
somebody to
answer
talk
it,
to.
yep.
Yeah. Says that he stuttered more than usual. Maybe we can ask the deputy,
Yep.
see if he stuttered. Buford was having problems of, he said Buford was having problems of some kind. Our question would be, did he call the police? Did he call EMS? He might have saved Buford's life that night. If Buford was having some kind of a medical problem, see, that's written or spoken in the history. Because do you think that if something was that bad that somebody wouldn't go over to a deputy or state police or TBI and say, hey, something's wrong with Buford over there. Somebody better check on him. Nobody did that. Nobody did that. Maybe somebody drugged them. Oh, no, wait. They didn't drug them. It's in the police report. It's in the drug report. No drugs,
Evidence
no evidence of any drugs
or alcohol.
or alcohol. As they walked away, Hal's niece thought she smelled alcohol on Buford's breath. Now, my question would be, how tall is Hal's niece? Little bitty kid?
Mm-hmm.
Buford's 6'6". Is she up there nose to mouth with Buford that she can smell his breath? Is it a little bitty kid and he bent down there to talk to her? Alcohol has no odor, so he'd had to have it mixed with something. How old was his niece? I'll tell you what, Sheila come up with, she's young enough that we know that she had to have a chaperone to go to the fair with her because the uncle said he'd taken his niece to the fair.
Mm-hmm.
So she's young enough that she had to have a chaperone.
And funny thing is, he's not trying to debunk what she said, but he did what Dewana said.
Yeah, babe, that's a good point. Ain't that funny? He's not debunking the little.
He's agreeing with her on what he said.
But now that little kid said that Buford was drinking out of a cup.
That had water in it because it was a Coleman cup because he'd got 2 things of water there.
Guys, Sheila will show at the end of this video aftershave. Remember the 70s? Man in Skin Bracer, Brute, High Karate,
Old Spice.
Old Spice.
Remember Wild Country. My dad
Wild
used to
Country.
have
Remember the
Wild
aroma some of these colognes back in the old days put off? I was a deputy in the 70s. And sometimes you can mistake when you first smell, especially the old days. Cologne smells a lot different now than it did back then. And I guess because it does have at least some alcohol. It may be a different type of alcohol, of course, but could Buford, I know I'd go to ball games. I'd go to demolition derbies. I'd go to horse shows when I was in Pike County, Eastern Kentucky. And especially when you go to the fair in July or August, it was always those months, either July or August, our county fair.
Mm-hmm.
It's hot, especially if you're wearing a bulletproof vest.
Yeah.
And even though you got underarm deodorant on, that only lasts so long. And that sun beaming down and you're getting hot, you're starting to sweat, and you're thinking, oh, everybody can smell me. And you go out to your car and you take a little spray thing and you spray you some cologne on to try to mask the odor. Could Buford, when he got out of his car, could he have got him a bottle of Brute and sprayed just a couple of spurts? Maybe somebody smelled that, mistaking it for alcohol because they're smelling an odor, and he's got a cup in his hand. Where are these statements signed and notarized? They're not. Forget notarized. Or is any of them even signed? No. Are these even statements from the witnesses? Did they even tell the trooper this? Did the trooper just go home and write up some statements because he talked to this person, that person, and he wanted to put something in his report and he just wrote it? See, I don't know. That's a hypothetical. Do you blame Fred and Sheila sometimes for being judgmental or being not trusting everything we hear? Sometimes we don't even trust what we see. We want to see if it's a fake or if it's a forged, if it's a photocopy, if it's been photoshopped. forget notarized. Trooper did report or contact. Trooper did a report. He didn't put the statement of the age of the person. How old is this niece?
Yeah, so I was wondering.
Didn't put the dates of birth, social security numbers, addresses, contact information. No information. Just I talked to so and so and they said this and that. One of those statements, you're going to see where he leads. The trooper even leads the person. Let's see, Angie Locke. Question. Here it is, leading. What did you smell on him? Go ahead and play it, babe.
Okay.
This ain't come up yet.
In a separate interview, Trooper Paul Ervin interviewed Angie Locke,
Here
Denny
you go.
Howell's niece. And she told Trooper Ervin that she thought she smelled alcohol on Buford's breath and that he was indeed drinking
This is the
something
niece.
out of a Coleman's
Angie
barbecue
Locke.
cup.
Water.
Next, there was Mr. Carroll Buford. Now, Buford said that he saw.
What did you smell in the cup? He asked her. But see, he doesn't say there how old this niece is.
Mm-mm.
Is she 13? Is she 16? I imagine she's got to be younger than 16. He's probably not even 14 would
Mhm.
be allowed to run around the county fair back in the 70s. That's back before we had all these idiots out here running around abducting children and doing the things they do. Back when I was a kid, they dropped you off at
free
the
to
fair and
roam.
pick you up 2 days later. It didn't matter.
Yeah.
She said she thought she smelled alcohol. Could that have been aftershave? And that he had a cup drinking out of it, like Sheila says.
It was water.
He got water. Why would he go get water? Why wouldn't he just go get a cup? So give me an extra cup there.
Mm-hmm.
Carol Bontefield said he was shooting basketball with Buford. Or Buford was shooting basketball. And Buford wasn't talkative, did not know if he was drinking or not, but he just didn't act right. Did he call EMS? Was it that obvious that he didn't act right that he called EMS? Or was it somebody that Buford just didn't want to interact with? Was it somebody that had been a violator or something in the past that he just didn't want to fool with? As a police officer, I can relate to that. There's people, again, I go places, if I've arrested somebody before, I've been with social services to somebody's home,
Yeah.
and there's things that have been alleged or proven. There's certain people you just don't want to even be around. Could that have been it? That didn't make him drunk because he says he wasn't talkative. I'm not talkative to a lot of people. Sheila says if you ain't got something good to say about somebody, don't say nothing at all. I say the same thing about talking. If I ain't got nothing good to say to you, no need in talking with you. Go ahead, babe.
Ready?
Yeah.
Buford shooting a basketball at a game there at the McNairy County Fair and said he approached him, spoke to him, said, but Buford was odd. He was not in a talkative mood. He was not like himself.
Sometimes you don't have nothing to say, so you don't talk a lot.
And he knew something was wrong, but he wasn't sure what. He said he did go out to the parking lot about the time that Buford left and that Buford was spinning his tires and driving like a teenager. Now, what you just saw was film footage from
Driving like a teenager.
Mm-mm-mm.
See, he says that's the way Buford always drove, wide open. Well, that's certainly no indicator he was drunk because he drove like that all the time.
Good point.
He had a little thing here,
Mm-hmm.
but little footage. Sheila showed it in one of our videos way back, one of our first videos, the old 1970s video when the news had done a story where Buford wrecked. Now, Mike says here that I've had this footage for more years than I care to remember. Like it's a real value, like it's real hard to find footage. Big researcher you got here, guys. I'm sorry reading this, but all you got to do is Google old news footage of Buford Pusser's crash and it'll come up on Google. So that's some hard research right there, Mike. Go ahead.
1974, footage that I have had in my possession for more years than I care to remember. However, you heard it mention Roger Horton. Roger Horton was a friend of Buford's. They were pretty close. And Horton would say that he quite often rode with Buford and that he thought Buford was just too good of a driver for this to have happened, and that Buford had shared with him that if anything ever happened to him, he wanted Horton to look into it. Now, Horton admitted during the interview with the troopers that he was not a mechanical expert of any kind. He was just expressing his opinion. So there you have that. He said that the motivation for him to say what he did was that if somebody had murdered Buford, he wanted to make sure they didn't get away with it. It's imperative that I mention that Buford's accident was thoroughly investigated.
That's not us changing his thing there.
No.
That's something he's done. He said something and cut it out, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
He's talking about the guy that was on that old clip that said that he thought the tie rod, something had happened to the tie rod. That's what he's referring to Roger Horton about. Go ahead, Punk.
Not only by the Tennessee Highway Patrol and the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, but the FBI also looked into it. I happen to have a 58-page report about the accident and the results that they found, which was nothing.
Stop.
Which
There's he says that the TBI, the state police, and the FBI investigated Buford's wreck. Guess what else the TBI, the FBI, and the state police investigated, guys? You'll put an article about right here with the FBI. The ambush of 1967. Now, Mike wants to believe the FBI, the TBI, and the state police here. It's 1974. It's 7 years later. Nothing to see here. FBI, TBI, and state police says nothing happened here to Buford's car or nothing. Well, that's what they said in 1967. The same people, the same agency said that nothing happened as far as Buford. And she'll show another article here where there was a rumor going around, and then the prosecutor of that day, a good, honest fellow from the prosecutor's office, said that's a rumor. There's no evidence that proves it. They were saying that Buford had been arrested for killing his wife. The rumor had started back then. Mike's taking up for the FBI, the state police, and the TBI here. Oh, you got to believe them. They said it was true. Well, they said back in the old days, 1967, that it was true too, that Buford had nothing to do, that this was the mob, that this was haters, that this was.
there was nothing to base.
What's the difference?
Mm-hmm.
You know, guys, people don't understand why. We know a lot of it's fame, fortune, and name recognition, 15 minutes of fame. Imagine how the TBI feels about the Buford Pusser case after 58 years. Imagine how the TBI feels about themselves. Imagine. They solved a case that the Federal Bureau of Investigations couldn't solve back in 1967. Back in 1967, the TBI agents, the FBI, the state police, they were all looking in different directions. They were looking for the outlaws, the killers, the assassins. And then 58 years later, Mr. Davison and the TBI comes up here and solves a case. Do you see where they included the FBI in there with them? You know, I've done this all my life. You know, when you ever see a news conference with any of these agencies, forget the first 20 minutes. You can get there 20 minutes late, because the only thing you're going to miss the first 20 minutes is everybody on that stage. Oh, he done good. They done good. I've had the sheriff's department. They had the city police. We had the FBI. We had the ATF. We had for the first 20 minutes, all you're going to have is people bragging on each other. What a community we've got, a brotherhood, how we all work together. Half these guys can't stand each other, just like they were with Buford. TBI and the state police didn't like Buford. Buford probably didn't like them. They didn't want to do nothing. They didn't want Buford doing nothing. There's jealousy. Buford makes a movie. He's bragging on the FBI here. Same FBI investigated the 67 ambush. Didn't find nothing. TBI comes back 58 years later and solves the case. So they say. But they didn't involve the FBI. Why didn't they have the FBI in there? Hey, brothers, come on over here. Hey, ATF, come on over here. While you're here, arrest these two for carrying that stolen gun around all this time.
Mm.
They didn't have the FBI up there on stage with them. That was a TBI thing. That was a Mark Davison. That'll be in tomorrow's video.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead.
Go ahead and play it.
Yeah,
All right.
I've said enough.
None of these agencies found any signs of sabotage. So, Helen Pusser, using Dewana's trust fund money, I might add, hired a GM expert.
See how he always, when he talks about the Pusser family, how he's
He's been
negative?
on Carl. He's been on Buford.
That's
Helen.
sad.
Helen's Buford's mother. Now he's on. She used Dewana's trust fund money, I might add. Guys, what did Buford died in 1974? What happened in 1973? Buford Pusser had the largest blockbuster movie of that whole year. 1973, the biggest movie of that year was Walking Tall. Helen didn't have to use a trust fund. Buford had money. He still had money from the movie, guys. Only thing he had bought is a Corvette. Only thing he'd bought.
Mm.
Go ahead.
To evaluate the damage to Buford's car. He checked everything. It was unimaginable what all he looked into, trying to find if there was any signs of sabotage. Now, Mr. Bob White of White's Corvette shop was the engineer that Helen Pusser hired to examine the vehicle. Now, I might tell you that he had an MS in automotive engineering and technology, so you can imagine what he went through. He checked everything that could have affected the car before or after it started sliding. He checked the brakes on all four wheels.
Stop. Guys, we know the brakes worked
Right.
because you can see rubber on the highway. We know the wheels didn't come off, don't we, babe?
Right.
Because why?
The lug nuts.
Lug nuts were still on the car. The wheels were still on the car.
Mhm.
So we can rule out brakes. We can rule out wheels.
Right.
Sheila and I, our theory is that it was the tires until we heard this again. Let's let him go ahead and talk and get your all's opinion.
Ready?
Yeah.
The rear axles, the drive shaft, the transmission, torque converter, and the list just goes on and on and on. And the two things that caught his attention that he examined most closely were tie rod ends on the left side
The left side.
and the number one piston of the engine.
Stop it. Piston wouldn't have nothing to do with it.
That's what I was going to ask.
Piston wouldn't have nothing to do with it. You know, at the beginning of this video, Mike says that the neighbor said it sounded like a jet going by his house. Sound like a jet. Could the gas fee have stuck? Could somebody have done something to the throttle, accelerator? Maybe. Just something else to throw out there.
Mm-hmm.
If it sounded like a jet, if he's not even letting up on it. But listen to this. See, Sheila and I kind of figured that it was the front left, the tire
Yeah.
is what we figured. And now they're saying the front left tie rod. What did this Roger Horton say? He's the one that called attention. He looked down there and said, I think something's wrong with the tie rod. And Roger's thinking it. We're thinking it's the left front tire. He's saying the only thing the mechanic found wrong with it was a left front tie rod and the motor. Forget the motor. How about the left front tie rod, all you guys out there? If you have a blowout on the front left tire, which way are you going to go? If your tie rod breaks or comes off, something happens to a tie rod on your front left, which way are you going to go?
Exactly.
Which way did Buford go? He
Left.
went left. He went over and hit that embankment and flipped.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there comes up the tie rod again. It's funny that he says they paid all this money. He checked everything on that car. He didn't find nothing wrong. And then he comes here at the end. He says, only two things he found was the tie rod and the motor piston. Tie rod. Wait a minute. That's what Roger Horton claimed was the tie rod on the day of the crash. The next day he's looking at the car and he said, somebody's jimmied with the tie rod.
Yeah.
And this mechanic with a MS degree says that only two things he could find was a piston and a left tie rod. Wow. Go figure, guys. You know, Mike says that let's let them talk. I want to instead of me quoting them first, I'll quote them last.
After reviewing all these, just like the Highway Patrol, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and the FBI, he found nothing. And he advised her that, in his opinion, Buford died as the result of an accident.
Mike tells you right there that the trooper found nothing. Now, he just got through telling you that the guy said tie rod and the piston. But now he comes back and he says, but just an accident, found nothing. He didn't find nothing. He found a tie rod. There was some kind of question about the tie rod. It was just an accident. Go ahead.
Wow.
So there you have it.
Not even her own expert could come up with anything.
He said, yeah.
All I'm trying to say, folks, is that if you want to listen to the legend and be fooled about the Pusser legend, hey, that's your bad. Myself, I had rather have researched it, got the facts, got as much information as I possibly
says he got the facts. I sure wish he'd put some of them, the facts, in his videos. I can imagine what the book's like, but I wish he'd put some of the facts in his videos for people to see over the time. Mike says, so there you have it. About the same as Mike saying he had proof Buford was drunk. We're going to play that video right here, not now, but she'll insert his front comment when he first come on.
Well, let's set the record straight. Buford Pusser died as a result of a drunk driving accident where his blood alcohol concentration was measured at 0.18, about twice the state's legal limit back then.
And he says he's going to straighten it out. He's going to, whatever the word that he used was. We've watched the whole video. We've not seen the first.
I think he said he's going to set the record straight.
Set the record straight. Thank you, Punk. He's going to set the record straight when he first come on. And 4 to 5 times so far, he said there was a blood alcohol of 0.18. We've not seen it. Mike's not give you one piece of evidence that Buford Pusser was drunk, other than a little girl that had to be chaperoned to the county fair that said she thought she smelled alcohol. When back in the 70s, and especially if you're a police officer, most people carried spray cologne with them in your vehicle. Nobody else noticed anything. The results is no evidence found. No evidence, no evidence, no evidence. FBI. Funny how Mike wants to give the FBI approval for one thing, but didn't in 67. I'm just going to go over my report. He says he has a 58-page report from the FBI on Buford's accident, guys. I know you heard that. The good thing about these tapes, you can rewind them. He's got a 58-page report of the FBI. Mike says what they found was nothing. Whoa. Well, where's that 0.18, Mike? Where's that 0.18 BAC on Buford? Surely the FBI is not that incompetent that they missed that. Surely this FBI, this state police trooper that you say falsified his report or tampered with physical evidence, surely he didn't do that and the FBI watching them. None of these agencies found no signs of sabotage. They found no sign of foul play at the ambush neither. But you say they were wrong. there and covered something up. What about the BAC, Mike? I'm asking again. Remember that Mike at the beginning said there was an 18 BAC, and all through this film he said that? Movie star, a hero, but not one person has ever found a BAC. You know, today, guys, we've got, what is that?
TMZ.
Is it TMZ? I was
Yeah.
going to say TMC. TMZ.
I think is what it is.
Today you got TMZ. What did we have back in the 70s, babe?
National Enquirer.
National Enquirer. You guys remember National Enquirer? National Enquirer would give you $1 million for a story for a BA of Buford Pusser, who just a few months, not over a year earlier, had a blockbuster movie. And now he's died in a car crash where he was drunk. And we've got a BAC of 0.18 on him. How much would the National Enquirer paid somebody for that story?
Yep.
Guys, we're not smart people.
No,
If we can figure this out, anybody can. Helen Pusser using Dewana's trust fund. Who cares? That's her granddaughter. She's trying to prove that her father was murdered.
Yeah.
That somebody tampered with his car. And you know, Mike, he says there was nothing wrong with it. It's just an accident. Guys, an accident is an unplanned event where something happened that caused something to go wrong, either driver error or either mechanical. An accident has a cause. Right. There's a cause to an accident.
Yeah.
It's never been determined the cause of Buford Pusser's accident. Now, Mike can sit there and tell you all day. He's told you all day long that there's a blood alcohol 0.18, but he not shown it. Can't find it. He's told you that. And Mike sits here now and he says that car was not sabotaged. There was nothing wrong with that car. There's as much likelihood that something was done to that car as there was that it wasn't. It's 50-50. Did something happen to it? What happened? What caused that accident? Because nobody knows. So it's as fair for other people to say, could it have been sabotage? Could it have been the tires? Could it have been, it wasn't alcohol. He said he was drunk. Trooper says he wasn't drunk in this report. 58-page report. You don't see the FBI saying, here's a 0.18 that we got. Because the FBI would do a thorough investigation of it. Now he's attacking Helen. He's attacking Buford's mother.
Sad.
Just had a top-rated movie of the year. Bob White had checked everything. Caught his attention was a left tie rod. He says there was nothing wrong. But what caught Bob White's a Master of Science degree in engineering and technology of automobiles, and what caught his eye was a left tie rod. That vehicle pulled to the left. Look at the rubber marks going to the left. What happened to that car that made it pull and go to the left off the road? Was he missing a deer?
Yeah.
Was the tie rod broke or tampered with? Did the left front tire blow out? Something caused him to swerve and go that way.
Yep.
Mike says, all I'm trying to say, folks, I researched it and I got facts. I sure wish, well, I'll use me. I sure wish he put some of it in his video because we haven't seen no facts. Mike says Pusser's fans disagree. Why can't it be just people wanting to know the truth? Why does everybody have to be Pusser fans? We are not Pusser. We're not Pusser enemies.
Right.
And we've even learned to respect poor old Buford a little bit now that we see how people's dogged him.
Wow, yeah.
Trying to steal his fame and glory that he worked for a man that was never behind bars, never charged with a crime, never. Remember, Mike has no agenda other than selling books and getting clicks on them videos right there. He's got no agenda other than that. And giving tours. Now, he says he don't make nothing from these tours. I don't charge people for these tours. Oh, okay. You don't sell books on your tours? You don't
Donations.
donations. Thank you, babe. That's what I was. You don't take donations on these tours.
He pays for
No.
the gas and everything there and
No,
back.
no agenda there. No agenda. He sure busted a 13-year-old girl's bubble. Mike got upset at me for correcting. I went over that. Look how upset he got at me.
Yeah.
Reap what you sow.
Mm.
Guys, cup half empty or half full. For
Yep.
me and Sheila, that's half full. For Mike, half empty. Go with the good or the bad. Sheila and I go with the good.
Definitely.
Mike,
Definitely.
it appears, looks to the bad.
Sad.
Nothing out there to show he was murdered. Also, nothing out there to show that he wasn't murdered. Mike says there's nothing out there to show that car wreck that he was murdered. There's also nothing there that shows that he wasn't. Their own engineer said there was something wrong with the tie rod.
Mm-hmm.
Cause of the accident is unknown. Mike asked, who would you rather listen to? People who have researched it or people who have not? Well, we'd rather listen to somebody that's researched it. You be the judge here. Here's Mike's opening.
You want me to play it now?
This would be Mike's opening. Can you do it?
I can play here. I mean, this is done right here
Okay.
anyway.
Yeah,
So.
go ahead, play that.
Well, let's set the record straight. Buford Pusser died as a result of a drunk driving accident where his blood alcohol concentration was measured at 0.18, about twice the state's legal limit back then.
There you go.
Did you guys see Mike prove this with evidence? Or did you see him speak this rumor
Mm-hmm.
into history?
Wow. Sad.
Did you see him just speak that into history? Because he showed no evidence in this whole video. He's not shown you the first shred of evidence that Buford Pusser was drunk, that Buford Pusser was drinking alcohol, that Buford Pusser had a 0.18 blood alcohol content.
Right. This is sad. I can't believe that he's gone after this family like that. It's pitiful.
Just like the Highway Patrol, the Tennessee Bureau of Investigation, and the FBI, he found nothing. This channel is different from all the other Pusser sites because we deal in the real story, not the myths, not the legend. And this is the channel where myths about Buford Pusser come to die and the truth walks tall.
All right, guys. We sure hope you are doing well today. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share, and we'll catch you on the next one. God bless. Bye. And please go to Fred McCoy 40